Should the US intervene militarily in Iran or not? If you want to take a stance on that question, there's something you need to know. Iran's history in the 20th century is a common case study in what's called second-order effects, otherwise known as domino effects. In 1951, this guy, Mohammad Mossadegh, was appointed democratically as the leader of Iran. The thing is, he was particularly popular for his intent to nationalize Iran's oil industry. Now, a certain company did not like this very much. You've heard of them, but back then they went by a different name, Anglo-Iranian Oil Company. Today, they're known as British Petroleum. And back then, they controlled the entirety of Iran's oil exports. The Iranians attempt to make a deal somewhat like the US made with the Saudis, but the British say, no, we're not about that. So the British go to the US, they make up these bogus accusations about communism festering under Mossadegh, who was not a communist, and they partner with the CIA to get rid of this guy. So just 2 years after he's become PM, Mossadegh gets overrun in a Western-backed coup known as Operation Ajax. He's replaced with the monarch, the Shah. And in some ways, he did modernize Iran, but he was also a brutal autocrat who established a secret police known as Savak and ruled quite firmly, killing, imprisoning, and exiling his political opponents. Now, from a Western perspective, this worked out nicely enough for 3 decades until it didn't. And here's where those second-order effects come in, because in geopolitics, nothing just does one thing. It has second-order effects, third, fourth, it reverberates. As we mentioned, the Shah crushed popular dissent, but mosques were off limits to secular political interference. So because secular opposition to the Shah was killed or imprisoned, the mosques of Iran became some of the only places where dissent could grow. And so the revolution finally comes in 1979, discontent boils over, and it's not led by democratic moderates. Instead, all of this discontent was preyed upon by religious radicals who overthrew the Shah and installed the Islamic Republic. The Ayatollah's reign beginning in 1979 was a second-order effect of misguided US foreign policy and intervention from 1953, over 20 years earlier. So I desperately want freedom for the Iranian people. Persian culture, history, heritage is beautiful and deserves to have a future of its own, a future that is free. But history often shows that when the US intervenes in deciding people's leaders, that person will never have the legitimacy that's required domestically for an enduring stability. Ironically, forcible US support for this revolution could directly play into the Ayatollah's hands, empowering him to say, this is nothing more than US intervention 2.0. So for that reason, I think this has to be Iranian-led, Iranian-owned, and Iranian-finished, and that us Americans largely need to stay back and perhaps offer some material support for those combating the regime, but not much more. I could be wrong, but either way, to the brave people of Iran, I wish you this. Peruz Bashid.